Good morning and welcome to Wednesday's Market SITREP or Situation Report here at Top Gun Options. My name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Wiz. Last day up here in Vermont picking up our boy from college. We're heading back down to South Florida tomorrow. And we got a 10 a.m. joint Analyze Your Trade and Accelerated Retirement Debrief. Check out what we did last week. Look at this headline. This was 2 May. Analyze Your Trade and Debrief. Time to hedge or rally on. We looked at getting long SDS calls out to this Friday, the 30.5 calls for $1.18. Those are up over $2 as I shoot this video for a profit, a gain of over $2,500 in a week just on these SDS calls. And then what did I say? I said, you know what, folks, volatility has been way too soft for too long. Let's get long some VIX calls. We looked at the May 15th. 13 calls. Those things are up $7,500. These calls were up 25. These long volatility calls. Take a look at the VIX. Look at the VIX here. The VIX, massive spike, obviously, on Trump's trade threats here. We're up another 7%. Those calls are up $7,500. So if you joined us last week, if you were a member and you put on these two trades, the SDS long calls and the vol long calls, you're up over $10,000 in what? Not even a week. Under a week, folks. And let's see, that those cost $3,500 and these cost about $2,000. Okay, so that's pretty damn good. Nice volatility and market pull, and we timed it perfectly, folks. I mean, this is where we said last week, I said we're getting way too hypoxic. I said Vice Premier Liu, Mnuchin's over in China, and Liu's supposed to be coming back here. If Trump decides to walk away or whatever, we need to be a little bit protected. And man, those things saw some incredible profits. But all right. Let's get started real quick with the strategic brief. This ain't good. Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, snubs. I love this word. Snubs Germany's Merkel. He was over supposed to meet with Merkel yesterday, and what did he do? I think he used Merkel, which is fine because she's awful. She's the white woman of Barack Hussein Obama lineage. But anyway, he snubbed her and went to Iraq and made a surprise visit there. And what did he cite? The Iranian escalation. The Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group, my old boat, is on its way over, making best speed to get into the Arabian Gulf. Why? Iran announced this morning they're going to stop complying with some nuclear deal commitments. Where do you think this is going? This dude right here is not cream of some young guy in North Korea. The North Korean, the dear leader in North Korea, loves life. He doesn't want to be no martyr. He ain't rushing to go see 72 virgins. He can he can order them to his place in North Korea. These guys are nuts. Okay? And a country that wakes up every day and screams death to Israel and death to America ain't somebody we need to take lightly. So the president, as you saw with him walking away from the North Korea summit, with cream of some young guy, and you see him, he essentially walked away from the trade deal over the weekend, and now it's back on. The dude means what he says, and when he says Iran's not going to get a nuke, this is a big poke in President Trump's chest, and this is not going to go over well. But anyway, let's talk about the alligator closer to the boat. Market is essentially flat right now, right after the opening bell, after Trump says China coming to Washington to make a deal. This is hysterical. You know what? You know why the Chinese started to pull back? Let's take a look at the president's tweets. The Chinese started to pull back on the hope that Joe Biden or somebody, other weak Democrats, going to get elected, and they negotiate a better deal and continue to rip off the United States. $500 billion a year we've been getting screwed. Bush, the Bushes, the Obama, Clinton, all those guys sucked. Every president previous to this guy sucked with China. They were a leech, man. They were stealing from us. Guess what? That's not going to happen under me. China has just informed us that Vice Premier Liu is coming to the U.S. to make a deal. We will see, but I'm very happy with the 100. Right now, folks, this is one of the reasons the economy is pumping really hard. Is we're bringing in over $100 billion a year in tariffs. We were losing 500. You're bringing in 100 right now. Nice job, Mr. President. Keep up the great work. So as soon as the president heard that these guys are going to try and run out the clock, the president's like, okay, great. We're going to stop bringing in 100 billion a year. We're going to make it 250 to 5. We're going to make this the other way. Love or hate the guy, he's a phenomenal negotiator, and he puts what country first? Oh, America. There's a weird. What do you think China's doing, folks? They're trying to put China first. So this is great. Awesome. China's don't trade on China's terrible trade numbers. April exports plummeted after a strong March, but the vol is less meaningful than it appears. So take a look. I told my everybody in our joint weekly options and primary live trade brief yesterday morning to take a look at the China numbers that came out last night. The trade balance, holy crap, they were forecasting 235.94. Look at this. In the U.S. dollars denominated trade balance, 33.7, 13.8. These numbers are blindingly red for who? The Chinese. These should be green for us. Absolutely kicking China right in the jimmy, and it's hurting them. And those are the numbers that they're reporting. I think those numbers are a hell of a lot worse. So here's the deal: we put on a VXX weekly options trade for Friday. Let's take a look at the VXX, like the 28.5, 28. This thing I think is going to stay elevated until when? Friday. So we have a great looking weekly options trade we placed yesterday that could make what was it, like $2,500 on limited risk if volatility stays elevated. It will. The dude's on an airplane right now. They ain't talking until tomorrow, and maybe on Friday we get some sort of announcement. So here's the four things that could happen. Rabbit out of a hat deal, we go up to 25%. The president does what he did already once before and says, I'm going to delay tariffs a little bit because we're making, quote, progress. He already did this once, folks. If you remember the history of this, down at the G20 summit, the president said, hey, we got 90 days to do this. At the end of the 90 days, he's like, we're making progress. I'll sit on my hands. He already did this once, so he could delay it again. How about a limited tariff imposition? Maybe going from 10 to 15 since, things are, kind of good, but I'm still pissed off. Or a full tariff imposition and breakdown of talks. So here, the rabbit out of the hat deal, like, hey, no kidding, we got a deal and, invite your boss to Mar-a-Lago in June. That's about a 25%. 50%. I think this is more likely. I agree with this that maybe the president says, hey, I'll sit on my hands. But I just saw minutes ago, flashed across my, I was going to say my BlackBerry. Now, I'm not that old. Well, I guess I am. I have an Android. That the tariffs are in the Federal Register, meaning they're happening unless something really big happens. So stocks fall. Obviously, uncertainty over trade talks persist. How many times have we seen this headline? Stocks climb on hopes of a trade deal. Stocks fall on uncertainty. It's really interesting to watch this. I love this. This is great. For those of you that were in Analyze Your Trade last week, man, up over $10,000 in 6 days. So the next time I say, hey, man, don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. Like last week I said, man, the volatility has been way too low for way too long. We're going to see something happen. And I said, this is why we picked May 10th for those calls, is I said, by next Friday, Steve Mnuchin, the guy's got egg all over his face. He said last week, we're going to have a deal by next Friday. So did Larry Kudlow, the market whisperer. They all look a little eggish right now. And then look at this. Man, we nailed this. Very, very professionally satisfying to have called this. More importantly, to have called this. That Jerome Powell, 5 weeks ago now, what did I say? I said, because people are like, why is Trump telling the Fed to cut interest rates and to add QE, quantitative easing? I said, it's simple, folks. He might walk away from the trade deal. And if this market implodes on him walking away from a trade deal, he can look at the Fed and go, hey, man, I told you guys to cut rates and add QE, and you didn't listen to me. Now, we're all going to die. So it's going to be the Fed's fault. It's not going to be Trump's. The guy is playing the art of the deal magnificently, and I think this is just strap in, and this is going to be awesome. I'm having a great time. Speaking of having a great time, if you want to take a test flight into anything that we do here at Top Gun Options, all you need to do is head to our homepage, TopGunOptions.com. Scroll down, and actually for only $38, I'm up here in Vermont, and I think $38 is like a dinner up here, man. For $38, you can take a 7-day test flight, and the next 7 days in this market are going to be absolutely critical to whether we're at an inflection point. I mean, we nailed this inflection point perfectly, but now we're either going to hold here and head higher with an announcement of a trade deal, or we're going lower. If the president kind of says, hey, talks are progressing, I'm going to hold fire or not increase fire, I still think we're going to stay lower here. But regardless, do me a favor and head to go topgunoptions.com/go flight. Just like Apollo 13, I'm go for flight. And for only $38, you can get airborne for another week for a week into our services. Okay, I got to get going. I got 12 minutes to get into the briefing room. Got a 10 a.m. Brief, and then on an airplane tomorrow, I do have some coaching while I'm on a layover in LaGuardia, and then we're going to do our solo Amazon brief 1 o'clock on Friday for all the members in that service. So have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge, and God bless.